how can you force your brain to do hard things in a world where it's literally never been easier to get distracted? So in this video, I'm gonna show you how you can work with your dopamine reward system instead of constantly fighting against it, and basically train your brain to become better at focusing on hard things. First of all, understand that dopamine is not the problem. Whenever people hear dopamine, they immediately think, oh, TikTok, sugar, video games. And that is slightly problematic, because if you actually quit dopamine for 30 days, productivity would be the least of your concerns. You need dopamine. Your brain uses it for things like motivation, learning, movement, and reward-related behavior. So the goal is not to detox dopamine and remove it from your system. You cannot cleanse dopamine out of your brain. What we are actually interested in is your relationship with reward and stimulation, because your brain is constantly learning. What should I pay attention to? What is worth doing again? What is rewarding? And this is exactly where modern life absolutely cooks us. Because imagine you have two options. Option A is to read 47 pages about renal physiology, and option B is to scroll TikTok. I mean, if it's up to me, the choice is very, very simple. Renal physiology has to wait. The problem is that your work is not necessarily unbearably boring. It's just competing in an unfair fight against stimulation that is super easy to access. So once you start understanding this, you can start changing the competition. Rule number 1, stop making your breaks more exciting than your work. And this was one of the biggest things that worked for me. It literally changed my entire behavior and how my brain worked. So imagine you have been studying for an hour, right? You are tired, you want a break, and you need a break. You have to take a break. So you tell yourself, you know what, I will just take a 5-minute break where I'm gonna answer a couple of messages, I'm gonna check out what's going on Instagram, and maybe scroll a couple of reels. Well, that is one of the worst things that you can do for your brain, especially if you want to lock back in, because what you're doing right now is taking your brain from something that is very, very stimulating to something that is less stimulating, such as reading or doing your homework or studying abstract topics. So what you can do instead, and what I started doing, is you can go for a walk, you can stretch, you can make coffee. Personally, I study for an hour and a half, and then I take a 5-minute break, fill up my cup of coffee, and then get back to work. So the first thing you can start doing today to make your brain crave hard work is stop making your breaks more exciting than the actual work. You can literally stare at a wall. That would be a better option than grabbing your phone. I've made an entire video about this that you can watch, but yeah, staring at your wall is super underrated. So rule number 1 is all about understanding that you don't need to make the actual work that you're doing exciting. You just have to stop making your breaks exciting, because if your break is so exciting and rewarding more than the actual work, why would you go back to work? I mean, it's natural, right? So make your breaks as boring as possible. That way, studying or focusing on a hard topic feels so much more rewarding. Rule number 2, start reclaiming the tiny boring moments in your life. So here's a challenge. Next time you're standing in line, don't grab your phone. Just stare around. I'm telling you, this is one of the most uncomfortable things that I tried when I did this challenge. It feels so awkward to just not grab your phone and be one of the only few people who are just looking around. Actually, it sometimes forces you to do something very, very scary. Talk to another human being. Can't believe I'm saying this, but sometimes you have to do it. That is what's gonna start happening once you put your phone down and reclaim the tiny, boring moments in your life. I mean, I'm serious, it's way harder than you actually think. Rule number 3, stop doing everything at the same time. So there's nothing called multitasking. You need to take that idea out of your brain and throw it out in the garbage. Multitasking is basically another word for switching focus from task to task. And if there's one thing I've learned in medical school, if you need to understand something difficult, there is nothing called switching focus. Your brain needs to operate at 100% on one problem, one thing. That's it. So stop multitasking and you are gonna see wonderful results. Pick one thing, one task, and try to put a timer and work on solving that task. That's it. Because multitasking is the number 1 thing besides scrolling that is actually causing harm to your focus. The goal is to bring back the balance between reward and stimulation. So in this challenge, the more you are feeling bored, the more rewarding it is for your balance, the more rewarding it is for your brain. So try this out for the next 7 days and give me some feedback. Let me know in the comments what happened to you.